From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
New at 11, more reason tonight for Hoosiers to make a plan to vote and get it done. A week after an extension, the deadline for absentee ballots is now tied up in court.
WRTV's Cornelius Hawker shares this story with us tonight so you don't end up missing out on the chance to exercise your right to vote.
More people than usual have decided to vote early in this election, and Erin Kelly with the League of Women Voters of Indianapolis tells me that's a good thing.
Every year we encourage voters to make a voting plan, but this year in particular it is so important. The pandemic, of course, is one issue, but then all these changes that seem to keep happening with what Hoosier voters are being told they can and can't do.
The most recent change, a federal court has stayed a decision we told you about last week, which extended the deadline for mail-in ballots to reach their destination as long as they're postmarked by Election Day. But Thursday afternoon, Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill appealed that decision, and until a circuit court considers it, the original deadline stands. Mail-in ballots must reach election offices by noon on Election Day. If you have questions, there are people in your community who have answers.
Reach out to your county election board, use services like vote411.org by the League of Women Voters, or just reach out to any kind of nonpartisan civic organization in your community, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
My best advice to voters is to, if you plan to vote by mail, get that ballot and get it back.
That's Julia VAUGHN, Policy Director for Common Cause Indiana. They're the nonpartisan organization that sued to have the absentee ballot deadline extended. Slower mail delivery with the United States Postal Service is one of the main reasons why this lawsuit was filed.
We can't control the mail. We don't have any control over that ballot once we let it go in the mail slot.
So while this issue goes through the court system, both Julia and Erin agree. Make a plan on how you're going to vote so you don't miss out on casting your ballot. Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
In a statement, Attorney General Hill says the noon Election Day deadline set by the General Assembly is reasonable because it allows most races to be called on Election Day, ensuring there's public confidence in how we vote. The Postal Service recommends giving your ballot a week to arrive by mail, and that means you should send yours back before October 27th. You can also drop off absentee ballots in person at your county's election office.
The deadline to request an absentee ballot in Indiana is October 22nd, but you're encouraged to apply as soon as possible in case there are any delays or problems. Ruth Warner tells WRTV she applied for an absentee ballot on September 12th. Now, nearly a month later, she's still waiting. Warner wanted to vote by mail to avoid possible COVID exposure. She's willing to go to the polls to make sure her voice is heard, but now she's not sure if she's allowed.
I don't want to go to the polls and wait in line for an hour or so and be turned away. But I can't get an answer from the Marion County Voters Registration. I don't think I'm going to get it. I get all my other mail, and mail that I've sent out seems to be received. So I'm really frustrated, and I'd really like to know if I will be able to vote if I go in person, and what about all these other people who maybe have lost their ballots too.
WRTV is getting answers for Ruth and anyone else who may be in a similar situation. The Marion County Clerk's Office tells us people who don't receive their ballot can contact the county election board to have the ballot reissued, or they can vote in person.
Vice President Mike Pence will not vote in Indianapolis tomorrow after all. His office released a statement saying the trip is postponed but did not give a reason. For everything you need to know ahead of the November election, go to the Vote in 2020 digital section of our website, WRTV.com.
Questions surrounding President Trump's health continue to dominate the campaign trail. Tonight, the White House physician says the president could get back to public events as soon as Saturday, less than a week after he left Walter Reed. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has the latest on the state of the pandemic from the White House to the Midwest.
After months of mask wearing, business closures, and working from home, the pandemic numbers in the U.S. moving in the wrong direction. 28 states seeing a rise in coronavirus cases and 35 states reporting an increase in hospitalizations. In Wisconsin, this 530-bed field hospital set to open next week.
Every region in Wisconsin has hospitals reporting current and imminent staffing shortages.
The economic toll accumulating too. 7 months into the pandemic, more than 25 million people are still receiving jobless aid, an additional 840,000 Americans filing for unemployment benefits last week. On the campaign trail in Arizona, Joe Biden blaming President Trump for the grim data.
Look, we've paid too high a price already for Donald Trump's chaotic, divisive leadership. More than 210,000 Americans have lost their lives.
In a short memo Thursday night, the White House physician Dr. Sean Conley saying he fully anticipates President Trump to return to public engagements by this Saturday. Dr. Conley has repeatedly evaded specific questions about the president's condition before and falsely claimed over the weekend Trump had not received supplemental oxygen when in fact he had twice. The president, who medical experts say is likely still infectious and should be in isolation according to CDC guidelines, working again from the Oval Office and refusing to participate in a virtual debate against Joe Biden. The Trump campaign insisting the president can attend the originally scheduled debate in Miami next week in person. Biden now set to participate in an ABC News town hall in Philadelphia next week instead of that debate. And in the race for a COVID-19 vaccine, the Secretary of the Health and Human Services Department said today he expects every American who wants a vaccine will be able to get one by April of next year. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Now to the latest on how the pandemic is impacting the health and lives of Hoosiers. For the fourth straight day, the State Department of Health is reporting more than 1,000 COVID patients in hospitals across Indiana. The latest update shows 1,110 COVID patients statewide. 1,488 new positive cases were reported between Tuesday and yesterday. And health officials continue to encourage people to get tested for COVID. Anyone who lives or works in Indiana can get tested for free. Register by going to lhi.care/COVID testing or by calling 888-634-1116.
Now to the forecast as we take a live look at Victory Field. It feels like baseball season out there. Kevin joins us now, helping you plan ahead for your Friday. Kevin.
And Mark, I'll play ball. Perhaps you'd consider these temperatures either a changeup or a curveball. Temperatures tomorrow, they'll jump well into the 80s across central Indiana, and that wind will pick up, gusting over 20 miles per hour, setting the stage for those temperatures with lots of sunshine to feel more like summer than October. In the morning, temperature 53 degrees works its way by noon to 73. Here are the afternoon readings, lower 80s, but I think Terre Haute, Bloomington, Columbus have a chance at 84 degrees or so for the afternoon high temperature. We'll talk about what changes over the weekend. First, the increase in cloud cover, and then when may we see some showers? We'll try to answer that question coming up.
Southwest Louisiana is bracing for another storm. ABC's Alwyn Lopez reports Delta is taking aim at communities that are still trying to recover from Hurricane Laura.
All eyes on Louisiana as Delta continues to strengthen in the Gulf, the state sitting squarely in its path.
6 storms in just 4 months.
That's an oddity. Never seen that before.
Bill Bowers has lived along the Vermilion River in Lafayette, Louisiana for nearly 30 years. Now he's preparing for Delta, expected to come ashore on Friday, likely packing more than 100-mile-per-hour winds.
But is this the one that's going to drop that tree in the house? Never dropped it before, but maybe this is the one.
He says he would leave, but a tree toppled onto his in-laws' home when Hurricane Laura hit, forcing them to move in with him.
Yeah, they had no place to go. It crushed their home.
And just west of here in Lake Charles, people are still recovering from that storm 6 weeks later.
We are still reeling from the 5th strongest hurricane to hit the United States of America in modern history, the strongest hurricane to hit Louisiana in 150 years, and to have anything like this coming our way is very scary at the moment.
Now they are under mandatory evacuation again, faced with the potential of hurricane-force winds and heavy flooding. Blue tarps still clinging onto homes, a sign of slow recovery there, as this relentless hurricane season seemingly won't let up.
We are reeling from what Laura did to us, and so to have this hit right now is really tough.
Alwyn Lopez, ABC News, Lafayette, Louisiana.
35 members of Indiana Task Force 1 arrived in the Gulf Coast about 30 minutes ago. The team is in Louisiana to support Hurricane Delta rescue and relief efforts. It's at least the 3rd deployment for the unit this hurricane season. And the Red Cross is again making a call for disaster volunteers. The organization is providing expedited training as the threat of Delta gets closer. For more info, go to redcross.org/volunteer today or call 888-684-1441.
An investigation into a car crash on the northeast side of Indianapolis is now a homicide investigation. Police were called to 30th and Keystone at around 6:30 this afternoon at a report of an accident. And when officers arrived on the scene, they found a man dead inside the car with apparent gunshot wounds. We will bring you updates as we learn new information here.
If you have personal pictures of Sophie, the Indianapolis Zoo's elephant matriarch, the zoo is encouraging you to post them on social media. Today, the zoo announced the 52-year-old African elephant has died. Officials say the animal care team made the difficult decision to euthanize her after her health took a turn for the worst. Sophie came to the Indianapolis Zoo in 1989. This loss comes about a year and a half after a virus struck the zoo's African elephant herd, killing 2.
A legal battle is underway over land near a castle on the east side of Indianapolis. James Leonard bought the property near 38th and Keystone a year ago with plans to convert it into a self-storage business. The retired Army colonel says that he wanted to open a business in the area where he grew up to give back to the community. But Leonard says that when he bought the land from Palmer Properties, he did not know there was an easement that belongs to White Castle to allow for a driveway.
Palmer Properties signed a lease with White Castle. That's good until 2030, which I was not privy to. When you convert a property to self-storage, almost every inch counts. That part of my land on the back, the 25 feet by 158 that White Castle is denying me the use of, is a significant income loss.
WRTV talked to the vice president of White Castle about the situation. Jamie Richardson says the company tried to negotiate with Leonard.
It's just a matter of we have to protect the jobs of our team members and their families and really do what's right by them, as well as being a good neighbor. For us, the driveway is important because it's access for our customers. But beyond that, it's something we agreed to 25 years ago.
State Representative John Bartlett is trying to help Leonard. We'll bring you updates if this situation changes.
The more you're aware that something like this could happen to you, the more likely you are to be able to stop it.
Fear and desperation may be causing more people to fall for scams as the pandemic continues. Coming up, how to prevent getting conned and what to do if you become a victim.
Also, while the movie industry is struggling to adjust to the pandemic, it's not stopping Indianapolis from hosting an annual international film festival, but it does look different this year. We're going to show you the changes next.
Movies Under the Stars, the 29th Heartland International Film Festival is getting underway tonight. They are taking the show outside this fall. Tibbs Drive-In serving as the host site for this year's festival. They even had a drive-through red carpet to kick things off. Heartland is having to go virtual with most of their screenings this year, but Tibbs will host 29 films over the next 11 nights. There will also be drive-in showings at Conner Prairie Monday through Wednesday next week. The festival runs through October 18th. And Kevin, hopefully they get some dry weather for that, but we do need some rain.
We need the rain, but wouldn't that be just bad timing?
It'd be unfortunate.
If we started to get rain during these movies. Yeah, so the likelihood is you'll have most of those nights dry. That is the good news for that event. Hey, it's 52 in Thorntown. Just want to show you how we're cooling off in the outlying areas. 51 in Peru, while Indianapolis sits at 63, Bloomington at 53. That's now. Let's talk about tomorrow. The wind picks up, the temperature zooms right back into the 80s. Low humidity, some sunshine, strong south wind, and it all combines in the dry conditions to allow these temperatures to really stretch out from morning low to afternoon high. A lot more clouds Saturday. We'll hold off on any rain. The chance of rain is underwhelming. Sunday, the best chance will be along the Ohio River and in southeast Indiana. To go with those warmer afternoon high temperatures, you can see the overnight lows back into the low 60s for a couple of mornings, Saturday and Sunday. Let's jump to the weekend just so you can see. Saturday night at 11, rain down in Kentucky and Tennessee. The swirl on the northwest edge of the whole system stays primarily in Kentucky, but does nudge into southeast Indiana. I won't rule out some showers, but I just don't want to pick your hopes up for any soaking rain to move into central Indiana. Windy tomorrow, that's one of the headlines for your Friday. The other would be some sunshine and temperatures that move into the 80s. That wind will gust over 20 miles per hour in the afternoon. That draws in the warmer temperatures. It was already in the low 80s in southwest portions of the state today. There are your highs tomorrow. 86 in Terre Haute, 84 in Bloomington, even to the northeast of Indy. Temperatures in the low 80s. A good night for Friday night football. Partly cloudy sky. The sun is setting not that long after kickoff, 7:14. Temperatures stay in the 70s all evening long. Change for Saturday, more consistent cloud cover through the day, but the temperature stays right around 80. Temperatures from north to south on Saturday. A little warmer to the north because central southern portions of the state will pick up more in the way of cloud cover, and that will impact the temperature. 7-day forecast. Early next week, we have a cold front Monday. That will keep with it a chance for showers on Monday, leading to cooler, drier conditions Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. But even when it's cooler, temperatures are still above average.
Tomorrow, the community is invited to celebrate a woman who dedicated much of her life to improving downtown Indianapolis. TAMARA ZAHN was the founding president of Downtown Indy Inc. Last week, the organization announced she died suddenly. Downtown Indy Inc. calls ZAHN a civic icon whose passion for downtown led to national recognition for outstanding revitalization, development, and beautification. A public celebration of life starts at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on the south side of Monument Circle. Masks are required. Several community and city leaders will speak, including Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and former Mayor Bart Peterson.
Some people are cashing in on the pandemic and your pain. COVID-19 related scams are growing. Scripps reporter Alicia Nieves shows how criminals are taking advantage of people in desperate situations.
Millions of Americans are either at home trying to figure out how to pay their mounting bills or out looking for work while worried about exposure to a deadly virus. The troubling state of society is proving beneficial to one particular group: scammers.
It makes sense that Americans are feeling that kind of economic and financial pressure. It's just really terrible that scammers are taking advantage of that.
Lucy Baker is with the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, a watchdog organization based in Washington, D.C., that has been tracking COVID-19 related scams since May. In May, it found around 50,000 COVID-19 scams have been reported in the FTC's database. Last month, that number jumped to over 200,000.
Companies that are pretending to sell cures or prevention, even PPE, flyers in the mail that say coronavirus relief. And when you go to the business, it's actually a used car dealership.
The average victim lost around $300, but that number doubles for victims 80 years and older. So organizations like PIRG, the Department of Justice, even AARP have put out top tips to avoid falling for a COVID-19 scam.
My biggest tip is really to do your homework. If you receive any kind of communication that seems off, smells fishy, is too good to be true, like it probably is. My second tip would be, again, to be vigilant. The more you're aware that something like this could happen to you, the more likely you are to be able to stop it.
Lastly, it is highly recommended that if you fall victim to one of these COVID-19 related scams, report it, regardless of how much money was lost or how embarrassed you may feel. It's what authorities need to actually find and stop these scammers. In New York City, I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
We will see Takuma Sato's face on the Borg Warner Trophy sometime in the new year. Tonight, we're getting an inside look at the process to add the newest Indy 500 winner's likeness to the iconic hardware. Sato visited artist Will Behrens in North Carolina this week. Behrens has been sculpting the winner's face for the trophy since 1990. This is his second time immortalizing Sato, who also won the greatest spectacle in racing in 2017.
A recent race sent one of the leading drivers in the NHRA's top fuel division on an unexpected detour short of the finish line. So what happened? Our Brad Brown talked to Leah Pruitt in tonight's Sports Extra Spotlight.
Everything in drag racing's top series happens at a mind-bending rate of speed. But sometimes all you can do is hold your breath.
Leah's car blows the whole body off of it at the top end of the racetrack.
It was not necessarily a fear situation, or just more like mad and upset that we couldn't keep racing.
Top Fuel driver Leah Pruitt with perhaps the most hair-raising run of her career last weekend near St. Louis. Just 2 seconds off the starting line, Leah got launched more than 30 feet in the air.
A lot of thoughts at one time, but mainly very thankful. And then what next? Like, we still got races to race.
10,000 horsepower had Leah's Mopar Dodge Dragster moving at over 250 miles an hour when the front wheels buckled under. Parts of her car flew more than 170 feet. The cockpit barrel rolled in midair as it soared down the track. One huge factor, the whole thing essentially stuck the landing.
Up and pirouetted, and for the parachute, that was the key to the kingdom here of walking away from this crash. Is that parachute deploying. And when we drive race cars, if you get out of whack, your parachute clears you up, straightens you out, saves the run.
And Leah was able to climb out almost immediately.
I could feel my left foot had a very small amount of pain, and I'm like, that's it? That small amount of pain is after all of that. I was trying to process clearly exactly what just happened, but immediately how it happened.
The Don Schumacher Racing Team has spent the days since poring over video and data, tons of information at their disposal, trying to sort it all out.
Was it that identifiable that something was so wrong that you would lift? And I've answered that question. It's no. Now, I did lift when it just started to bow up in an abnormal amount. Thanks to our photography, there's shutters of the whole deal. You can see exactly when I lift.
But there's the old adage, racers want a race. Leah's third place in the Top Fuel playoff standings, only 80 points from the lead with 3 to go. So no chance to let up with a strong shot at a world title still in her sights.
As soon as the crash happened, I still had to run factory stock. Round of eliminations, pumped for it, Mopar power, and I thought, I'm physically fine, I'm mentally fine. The best thing that I want to do is I need to get in a race car and go slay that dragon. You know, get over it immediately, like a breakup. You want to get over it immediately.
The next 2 NHRA events are in Texas, and it all counts down to the 2020 finals in Las Vegas on November 1st. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
A colorful celebration on the canal this afternoon. City and community leaders dyed the water orange in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. The month recognizes the contributions of Latinos throughout the state and country.
We want our community to see that our Latinos are part of this community. We are contributing greatly. Celebrate with us our culture, our heritage, our history. We were way here from the beginning, and we continue to be here. So we are part of this society.
Hispanic Heritage Month events will continue in the coming weeks. Kevin.
Tomorrow will be no ordinary October day. It will be a spectacular one. Plenty of sunshine, temperatures in the low 80s, just a bit on the windy side. Mark?
All right, Kevin, thank you. And thank you for staying up late with us for WRTV News at 11. GMI heads your way at 4:30 tomorrow morning. Have a great